Hey everybody, welcome back to Kids Church. We are wrapping up our month on humility, and it's been pretty fun flipping things on their heads and doing things upside down and sometimes a little backwards. We're going to turn things upside down this month because when Jesus came, he changed everything. When we follow Jesus, that means we might act a little upside down from what's normal. Instead of being selfish, we'll be selfless. Instead of trying to get our way, we'll let someone else have their way. Instead of saying me first, we'll put others first. That's humility. Humility is putting others first by giving up what you think you deserve. So Jesus gave us the greatest example of humility when he put us first. And now we can follow his example as we choose to treat others with humility every single day. So we've been practicing our upside down and backwards skills all month, so now it's time to put them to the test. I am gonna see if you guys can do some opposite challenges, and if there's anyone out there who thinks that they can actually do them, I want to see the videos, okay? Here's my email address, okay? So, do any of you think that you can brush your teeth with your feet? It's weird. What about drawing a picture with your hands behind your back? Do you think that you could do a behind the back 3-point shot? How about writing your full name with your opposite hand, not your dominant hand? Or pour an entire cup of milk or soda back into the bottle without spilling it. Okay? So these are all kind of silly, upside down and backward things to try to remind us that Jesus turned everything upside down. So this month, we have celebrated Easter, the fact that Jesus died and rose again to be our Savior. When he did that, Jesus showed us the ultimate example of humility. On top of that, he proved that he really is God's son. That's amazing. Our Bible lesson this week comes from Luke 23, verses 13 to 35. Now the same day, 2 of them were going out to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about the things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near them and walked with them for a while, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. He said to them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place there in these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he would be the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since all these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said. They did not see him." Then Jesus said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets had declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and then enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if he were going on, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, because it's almost evening and the day is now nearly over." So he went and he stayed with them. When he was at the table with them, he took the bread, blessed, and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, Were not our hearts burning within us while he was talking to us on the road? While he was opening the scriptures to us? That same hour, they got up and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the 11 and their companions together. And they were saying, The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon. Then they told what had happened on the road, and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. Isn't that an awesome story, you guys? I just absolutely love it. And I love that it took a little bit for them to recognize Jesus. It's so good to know that we can trust God. In fact, trusting God is really what humility is all about. Because sometimes humility means admitting that you don't know everything, and you have to trust the one who has the plan. And that's God. God's plan for humankind was always good. People messed it up when sin entered the world, but God had a plan for that too. He sent Jesus to be our Savior. Jesus paid the price for our sin when he died on the cross. Then he came back to life and proved once and for all that he really is God's Son. When we put our trust in Jesus as our Savior, we get to be part of God's big story. We can have a relationship with him, and we can know that he is always with us, and we can grow in that relationship every single day. So Jesus helps the men in the story connect the dots about God's plan. He helped them understand that everything that had happened to him was all part of God's big story. And so are you. God can help you understand things about him too. There's always more to discover about God's plan. Say that with me. There's always more to discover about God's plan. That's our bottom line this week. You're never done learning, especially when it comes to God and his big story. We need to be willing to learn about lots of things at our school and in activities and just about life in general. But the most important thing we need to keep learning about is God and his plan. After all, the more you discover about God, the more you can make the wise choice and live out his plan for your life.